Hi guys, and welcome to our Friday writing stream. I'm pretty surprised that I'm here. Actually, I ate a lot of turkey and pie yesterday. For us in America, it was Thanksgiving, and if you are here in the United States, happy Thanksgiving, and I hope you had the dinner of your dreams because it's my favorite meal of the whole wide world, in the whole wide world, in the whole year. Normally I cook it, but this year my mother-in-law did, and we had a great family dinner, and she made an amazing turkey. And if those of you who want to know what I baked, I brought chocolate custard pies, two of those, and I made the green bean casserole. So it was pretty awesome because I just got back, remember, from like a million different trips. Where was I? Arizona and then Massachusetts. Hey, Malcolm and Wendy, nice to see you guys today. And if you're here, drop a comment in there so that we can all kind of get to know each other. Let me know what you're writing. Welcome to any of the new followers that are here and any of the people on Facebook or on YouTube that are watching because we're live on both. And I'm really glad that we got to do this today because I've been dying to work on my book. I don't know about you guys, but I've been really dying to do that. And I've been traveling so much, I have not had a chance. I want to show you what I've been doing for the last few days. So I've been analyzing other books that are in the genre that I'm writing. And I took like the first third, I guess, of Riley Sager's Lock Every Door. And all of these little stickies here are all for different types of the plot. Like here is a little clue that was laid that goes with the plot, and here's where they had a scary part because I'm writing supernatural suspense. So I really wanted to analyze where all those parts were in the first third of the book because that's where I'm at with my book. And Malcolm, hi Gayla, nice to see you. As a premise based on science, fantasy, and sword and sorcery. I love that. I was just watching Lord of the Rings today, so I love that kind of thing. So this is to help me understand exactly how the plot is structured because it's a slightly different genre from what I normally do. And if you guys don't already have it, there's a great handout here on my regular website called The Highlighter Method of Learning to Plot, which is basically what I'm doing here, except I didn't mark up my book with highlighters. I just used these little sticky notes because I wasn't looking for all of the elements of the plot, just those genre-specific elements of the plot. So sometimes when you're writing a different genre than what you normally do, like if you switch from romance to women's fiction or women's fiction to suspense, you want to really look at the plots that are like yours that have those common elements to that particular genre so you can learn the structure. The structure is different for each genre. And so Malcolm is doing an overview of his plot, which is really, really good because that kind of helps you get it all narrowed down. And that's what I've been doing in my notes for my book too. So I've got all kinds of notes that I can barely read. Sitting here literally puzzling it out about 3 minutes ago, trying to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. And I'm super glad. I thought I threw that note away about what I was going to do today, but I did not. So that's awesome. So if this is your first time at the writing sprints, what we do is we do 10-minute sprints. I play a little music. Everybody writes for 10 minutes because in 10 minutes, you don't really think about it and hopefully you just write. I don't want you guys to stress about every little word because I know how that can hang you up and you just get stuck. Like, what should this word be? Or should I fill this in here? What I do is I put capital letters like some word or write a good hook or come up with a character name because when I don't have the information, I don't want that to stop me from plowing forward with the story. So anything that's in all caps, I know I have to go back and fill in later. And I'm not too worried about it, even though I would love to have that information right now or have that perfect word right now. Usually it comes to me later when I'm doing revisions on the book. So we do 10-minute sprints and then we come back and we talk about writing. So if you have questions, like Malcolm had some great questions last week, then I'll answer them here on the video or I will answer them in an upcoming video. So I know I need to go back to the comments from last week because there were some really great ones that we touched on in the video that I wanted to do in the live stream that I want to do videos about in the future. So I'm working on that. It's a lot of balls to juggle in the air. So let's get started with our first 10-minute sprint. I'm pretty excited to work on mine. I got to get my timer up here so that I can keep the time for the 10 minutes. And then we can come back and we can ask any questions that you guys have on your writing. So let me find the music and drop a comment in there if you're here, wherever you're from. I'm always excited to hear where people come from. And we will write together for 10 minutes. We'll be right back. gave you guys like 30 extra seconds because I was like working on something and I had a great idea for a line, and so I wanted to make sure that I got that in there. I'm still not really sure if this is where the book is going to go, but I had an idea and I thought I'll try it for a couple of chapters and see what happens. So if anybody else has joined us, be sure to drop your information in the comments there and just tell us what you're working on. I'm always excited to help, and if you have any questions on what you're working on or how it's going, or struggling with any of the concepts that we talk about a lot, I'm happy to help you with that. I also wanted to drop the link to the latest video, which is our series on my series on internal plot, because the internal plot, something we talk about every single week, is the one that really grabs the reader and gets the emotion going and gets them to interact and engage because they see common elements of themselves in there. It's the emotion that hooks people, not necessarily the intricacies of the plot. Although an intricate plot really helps because people are like, oh, I stayed up all night trying to finish it. It's the emotion and the ability to relate to people that really does get them to recommend your book and love your book and feel like the characters are real people. So that's what we've been talking about in the most recent videos. This week we're talking about internal goals, and next week it will probably be internal motivation and then internal conflict. And then I'm going to kind of start putting that all together with plotting so that we can, kind of hopefully see the whole thing together at one time. And if you guys want something on a specific genre or a specific writing skill, please feel free to ask me because I'm always happy to talk about whatever you need to know. In the meantime, I don't know what I did for words. I should probably go back and check. I wrote the beginning of these little vignette scenes I'm going to have in between each of my chapters, I think. So, 400 words. So that's good because I had a really good idea for that. So I'm pretty stoked with 400 words. I'm still doing the revisions and writing all my notes and stuff on here on the book, and I need to input these changes. But I wanted to kind of start adding this new part and see where that goes. Wendy, great job. 172 free writing words in her female main character's head, which is good. It helps you really get to know your main character sometimes. If you just take the liberty of just writing whatever comes to mind and just get to know them, not necessarily use it in the book, because you don't want that backstory and that narrative to drag too much. And sometimes when you allow the character to just talk in your head, if you put that into the book, it can make it drag. Most of us don't sit around thinking about our pasts or our histories or our anxieties or anything, but you as the author can really get to know your character if you just let them have a big soliloquy, essentially, where you really see who they are. So I hope that that's going well, Wendy, with you with the plot and everything else, because we've been working on some of that in the mastermind. Wendy and a lot of other people in the masterminds. Gayla is also in the masterminds. And it's been really interesting to see how their books come along and how we work on it each month, and they take what they learn and they go and make it that much stronger. I'm always excited to see the new version of the book. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that impacts your main character, Wendy. All right, so let's do another 10 minutes because I'm itching to get back to this scene and then write the next one. And then we'll come back, and if you have a question, feel free to drop it in the comments and we will go from there. So let me throw the music on, and there we go. Okay, guys, another 10 minutes. And hi, Malcolm. If it's your first book, should you use a prologue, especially with sword and sorcery, is a great question. I hope everybody had a good 10 minutes. I got like 380 words, mainly because I planned a lot of this out, so I kind of know what I'm writing about for this particular session. A lot of times I'm just hitting it cold and I have no idea what I'm going to write about. So Malcolm asked a great question about whether you should use a prologue if it's your first book. Now, I don't read a ton of fantasy. I tend to watch fantasy movies, but so I'm not as familiar with the genre as you probably are. If you're seeing a lot of prologues, and if that's what readers tend to expect in today's books, then by all means use one. I personally like prologues in anything that has any kind of suspense because I really like to set that creepy feeling up on that first page, and it allows you to kind of set the mood before you get into the story itself. And I think that if you're seeing a lot of that in what you're reading and what you're watching and everything else, then yes, for sure, use that. The thing with the prologue is it really needs to be super important to the plot, and it really needs to set the tone. So you don't want it to be too long. You want it to kind of have that feel of the mystery or the fantasy or whatever main mood you're getting across in your book. If your book is dark and, sort of like a Lord of the Rings dark kind of thing, then you really want to get that mood across in those first couple of pages. Don't make a prologue 20 pages. That's just too much. Nobody's going to read that because there's some people that will skip that, or they just look at that as like, okay, this is a preview, but I really want to get to the meat of the story. So you don't want to hold them up too long. You always got to think about it like meeting a new neighbor, and you don't want to just blather on and on and on when you're meeting the new neighbor. You want to just whet their appetite and get them to come back. Good job, Wendy, on the 129 words. I hope everybody else is having some great writing times here. My brain is still like halfway back with the turkey and the pie and then halfway with my book. So I'm trying to work on these kinds of things. And with the prologue with Malcolm, by the way, like a lot of the books that I've been reading have a prologue, and the way that they're constructed in this sort of scary suspense genre is a little bit different than what I had originally, which is something that I had written years and years ago. So I'm going to take out the prologue that I had and do a different one. I'm just not quite ready to figure out what it is. Malcolm says he likes the Star Wars method of prologues. I've not read those, but I do. I've seen them. I've seen the movies because my husband really likes Star Wars, so I've seen them all, but not really necessarily in order or anything. But yeah, we did like those, and I really like The Mandalorian because I love the Baby Yoda. That's my favorite part of The Mandalorian. When the Baby Yoda's not there, I just have no interest in watching it. But yes, so if you really like them, keep them short, keep them to the point, keep them in the mood and the tone of the book, because there's a book called A Story is a Promise, and basically the message in that book is that the first page of your book, the back cover copy of your book, the cover of your book are all a promise to the reader that this is what you see and this is what you're going to get. So if you start off with a really funny prologue, but your book is actually dark and depressing or deals with some really dark themes, the reader's going to feel gypped. And so you want it to have the same sort of mood and tone as the rest of the book will have. Even if like you start with something dark because it's a suspense novel, so you start with somebody killing, somebody on the side of the road, and then you get into the main character's normal life for a little bit, and it seems like kind of happy and perfect. That's okay, because the reader knows that something dark is coming, that there's some kind of a killer skulking in the woods out there. Hi, CC. Nice to see you here. Question: how do you lighten a scene that is coming across too dark in a romantic comedy? I love writing romantic comedies. I did a lot of them early in my career. And my very first book was about a recovering alcoholic. I know his name is Grogu, but he's Baby Yoda to me because he's adorable, Wendy. I love Baby Yoda. Anyways, in the beginning of my career, my very first book that I sold was a recovering alcoholic hero who thought that he was part of the reason that his baby had died when he left town. So that was a difficult one to kind of really make light. So what I usually do is I balance it with having a lighter plot for the other character. So she was kind of, the heroine was sort of a kind of klutz that kind of screws things up and is a little impromptu and a little very good-hearted and very good-natured. And she, in the beginning of the book, is dressed up as a banana selling fruit baskets on the side of the road. So you've got that comedy in the banana thing, and I throw in a bunch of banana jokes and all this other stuff. And so then that repartee kind of naturally happens between the hero and heroine to kind of get the comedic level there a little bit and to lighten the mood a little bit. You can still deal with the darker tones when they get to their emotional growth and maybe the climactic scenes. But if you can have really good repartee and you can have some comedic element in the rest of the plot, that will help balance it out a lot. And Gayla's working on her rewrite and come up with an idea for the hero. That's great. And she says that external inciting incident is being pressured by a man who tries to purchase his ranch. Does that sound okay? I think that could definitely work, because with the inciting incident, one of the things that we were talking about in the Circle community, and if you're not part of that, I have, let me pull up the link to that. One of the things that we were talking about in the Circle community this week was whether the inciting incident was strong enough. And the original inciting incident that Gayla was mentioning, I didn't think was strong enough, that it really has to be a big enough moment, a big enough catalyst to force your character to change and to force your character to do things they wouldn't have done otherwise. And so she's been working on that, which I think that new inciting incident sounds good. You've got to have a really strong motivation for why this guy is the guy that's pressuring him to buy and trying to buy his ranch. You've got to have a really good reason for that. And then Gayla asked what was the name of the book, and it's Kissing Mr. Wrong. I've reissued it because it came out a long time ago, so we updated it and reissued the book. And it's on Amazon. It's the first of a series that's all set in Mercy, Indiana, that were all romantic comedies. And I had started out, Cece, originally in like deep, dark, suspensey books, because they're like Write What You Know, and I was a reporter who covered the crime beat in my town. And they were terrible. And so my editor said, you're actually a comedy writer. Why don't you try to turn this into a romantic comedy? And so I learned how to write romantic comedy, basically at my desk, just kind of writing these books. And so the first, 15 books or so of my career were all really strong romantic comedies, because I really wanted to kind of build that place in the industry. And then as I grew as an author and went through a lot more things in my life, I started slowly morphing into women's fiction, which is where I'm basically at now, women's fiction and romantic suspense. So I've been doing darker things as my career has gone along. So check that out and see what you guys think of that. All right, let's do another 10 minutes because I'm dying to write. Oh, wait, Malcolm, I will get back to you after we come back from our 10 minutes, because I'm trying to stay on task here. Otherwise I get distracted. So 10 minutes, I'll come back and I'll answer Malcolm's question. Okay, that was another 10 minutes, and ironically, I got exactly 419 words again, and I'm kind of glad I'm done because I've run out of ideas now. I've written those 3 little scenes, and I've got to kind of think about what I want to do next. Malcolm said his inciting incident has the main character witness the death of his father at the hands of an invading warlord. That is a really strong inciting incident because anybody would be really moved to get revenge or to, start a war or go after the person that killed their father. That gives them a very strong motivation to do that. So I think that that's a great inciting incident because it really does set the character off on a path that maybe he was reluctant to follow before. I really do like the idea of a reluctant hero who is sort of sucked into something that he doesn't want to be a part of. It's a sort of trope that's worked in a lot of different movies and books, and I do love that one. I don't know if your hero is reluctant or not, but I do kind of like that if you're doing it. For sure, it would be also good to have the father and son relationship be complex and have layers to it where it's not just, he loves his father, kind of like in the Game of Thrones prequel, right? Yeah, it's the prequel, where her relationship with her father is very complicated. The blonde girl, and I don't remember, it's been like 2 years since that came out, so I don't remember any of those people in there, their names. But I love that the father-daughter relationship was very complicated, and she was supposed to become the first queen, and yet, he was torn between his wife, her best friend, and all of these kinds of Peyton Place sort of soap opera moments in there. So great job on that. I think that's going to be a really great beginning to your book, really strong, and really set up the promise that this is going to be an exciting book filled with a lot of sword and sorcery, as you talked about. So that's really awesome. Okay, guys, so it is the day after a holiday, so we'll just do the 3 sprints today, and next week we'll shoot for 4. And I know it's going to get tight for everybody as the holidays come on, and we're basically almost at the end of NaNoWriMo. And when we meet again next Friday, we'll talk about National Novel Writing Month and how that went for you guys. I didn't get anywhere near what I wanted to get written because I was traveling most of November, but I'm pretty excited about everything that's coming. So make sure you look at the internal plot videos that I've put up there. I've got another one coming next week. And also kind of let me know if you have any questions. Even if you drop them into the comments after the live stream is over, I see the comments. And so I can answer them then or in the next video. And Malcolm added that he's more of a philosopher, stoic warrior. He doesn't want to fight, but becomes the hero that the war-torn earth needs him to be. And that's awesome. I really love that reluctant hero storyline. I just think it's fabulous. So I'm interested to see how that book turns out. That's pretty awesome. If you're interested in our masterminds, there is a waiting list on writingcompellingfiction.com. So feel free to sign up there. We're going to start our next mastermind group up in January. And so let me know if you want to be on the wait list and you want us to kind of start looking at your pages in the mastermind group because you get feedback that's really valuable. And I think that it's a great way to get the information that you need on how to make your book stronger. Great job, Wendy, on the 94 words. Great job, everybody. I'm so grateful that you were here, and I will see you next Friday. Have a great week, and happy